اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم الحمد للہ رب العالمین والصلاة والسلام علی رسول الکریم وعلی آلہ واصحابہ من سن بسنة الدین اما بعد رب اشرح لي صدری ويسر لي امری واحلل عقدة من لسانی یفقهوا قولی اللهم ارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا واجتنابه اللهم انا نسألك خير ما سألك عبدك ورسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم انا نعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ بك عبدك ورسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, and welcome to a Friday lecture, Friday Jummah sermon. Inshallah, last Friday, if you remember, we started off with a series on which is titled The Farewell Khutbah of Rasul. As you remember, we mentioned this already last Friday, that we will continue to talk about this farewell khutbah in small portions and small bits and pieces. We covered the first part or first portion last Friday. Today is the second paragraph of this khutbah of Rasulullah, and inshallah we'll try to cover some more wisdoms of the words of Rasulullah today. So he goes on to say, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ عِنْدَهُ أَمَانَةٌ فَلْيُؤَدِّهِ إِلَى مَنْ أُؤْتِمِنَ عَلَيْهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stressed in the Quran about the topic of trust, amana. A Muslim, a mu'min, is someone who is ameen. Ameen means someone who gives peace and tranquility. And it means someone who is trustworthy. What does trustworthy mean? When you trust someone, what does it mean? It means you have peace and tranquility, serenity from them. You have no threat, no imminent danger. That is why you say that that person is trustworthy and you trust them, because you have so much relaxation, so much tranquility with them. You don't fear them. You don't apprehend them or have apprehensions about them, that they might hurt me, they might harm me, they might do something wrong to me. No. When you trust someone, you have complete relaxation, complete peace of mind that this person is someone I can trust, I can rely and bank on and depend on. So Rasulullah is saying, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ عِنْدَهُ أَمَانَةٌ, whoever has any kind of trust, amana, like someone has put something with you, that here, take care of these things, these belongings of mine. So Rasulullah is saying in this Farewell Khutbah, he's telling people that keeping amana is a very important quality of a believer, mu'min. Being trustworthy is one of the major characteristics and features of a believer. Because one who believes in Allah cannot be a cheater, cannot be a liar, cannot be a disloyal and betrayer kind of person. Because when you believe in Allah, what do you know? What do you know when you believe in Allah? You know that Allah is watching me, Allah is seeing me, Allah is hearing me, Allah knows everything. Everything I think, everything I feel, everything is exposed to Allah. So a person who believes in Allah cannot be a cheater, liar, deceiver, betrayer, because they know that Allah is constantly observing them, number one. Number two, they also know, the believer, that on the day of judgment, Allah is going to ask me, Allah is going to hold me by the neck and ask me, what did you do with this? What did you do with that? Those people who came and had their belongings with you. As you know, our Prophet Muhammad was known as S.A.W, al-Amin. He was Amin and trustworthy. People in Mecca, even before he was a prophet, people in Mecca would come and put their belongings with them. They'll come and say, here's some of our belongings, keep this in your house. And he would be like a caretaker. And that is what he's saying, that whoever has any amana, any trust with them of some people, فَلْيُؤَدِّهِ, then they should be, فَلْيُؤَدِّهَا مَنْ أَتَمَنَهُ عَلَيْهَا. Whoever has entrusted you with something, with some belongings, make sure you render your trust, you fulfill your trust to them. Meaning, do not cheat them, do not lie them, do not deceive them, don't destroy their trust. And why is this so important? Remember, everything Rasulullah said in this farewell khutbah are very meaningful in hindsight. If you look at it, it is very fundamental for the existence of a society that is built on peace and tranquility and serenity. If people are cheaters and people are mistrusting and mischief amongst the society, you cannot have a sukoon in the society. You cannot have a peaceful society in your locality and community, because everybody mistrusts other person. And everybody is in apprehension that I might get hurt or harmed from this side or this angle or that person or this place. So there is no hegemony in society. The society cannot be built. You cannot have a unity in that kind of a society. You cannot have a brotherhood. There is always going to be fear, anxiety, and stress in that society where trusts are not rendered, where people are not trustworthy, where people are all liars and cheaters and deceivers. So even you cannot even step out of your house without fear that who is going to be on my right or left or front, who's going to cheat me, hurt me, harm me, or do something wrong to me. So it's one of the building blocks of society. Rendering trust, being trustworthy, giving trust back to people for what they have entrusted you with is a fundamental building block of a society. A society cannot be built upon mistrust and mischief in the locality. And then he goes on to say, Inna riba al-jahiliya mawdu, that whatever the usury interest that was there in the times of Jahiliyyah, as remember I said this last Friday, Jahiliyyah refers to the ignorant days, the days before Islam, before the coming of the wahi of the Quran. Anything that is prior to Islam are known as the Jahiliyyah days or the ignorant days, because they were ignorant of the rules and ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were ignorant of the obligations of religious injunctions from Allah, divine interpretation. And that is why it is referred to as Jahiliyyah. And Rasulullah is saying in this Hajjatul Wada, in this farewell khutbah, he's saying that the riba has been abrogated, has been cancelled. With the coming of Islam, there is no riba of Jahiliyyah. Meaning from today onwards, from this day onwards, Muslims haram for them to take usury interest. What is usury interest? What is riba? Riba literally means anything that is extra, more than the primary. So if somebody gives you $5, you cannot give them $5.01. Forget about 10 cents or $1. You can't even give them 1 cent extra. Meaning if you take a loan of $5, you have to give back exactly $5. Regardless of the depreciation of the money, wealth and value and whatnot, because here you are not subjugating to the person to such extreme measures where they are in distress. That is for loans. That is why the Islamic modes of financing are different. They're not based on loans. They're based on asset management, asset investment. But in the current world, in the world today, everything is based on loans. You want to do business, you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, it's all on a loan. The wealthy, the rich, they make institutions, they all pool their money together, well, very small amount, and they call an institution called a bank, and then they start getting money from depositors. It's the depositors' money, it is their wealth, but the bank owns it, and then based on the amount of deposit, the bank loans out a certain amount of cash. So the cash that they gathered from their primary shareholders, and also the cash they gathered from the average people in society, the depositors, they use that cash to give loan to somebody else. And then when they give loan to somebody else, they say, we're going to charge you 10%, 5%, X amount of percent, any percent they're going to charge. And that percent of loan that they charge, that percent of interest they charge on the loan is always far greater and more than the percent of dividends and return they give to the depositors. Let's say they say, give me $100, I'll give you 2% profit or interest on it. You happily go and give the $100. Say, I'm going to get 2%. Imagine they get 100 people with $100. All that amount of money that they got now, $10,000 from that. They're going to use that $10,000 to go and give somebody a loan and charge them 5%, 10%. The difference is what they're making profit on. So that is why interest and usury is haram in Islam, because it hoards money. It constricts the money. Whereas the economy flourishes through rolling the money, making it turn around more in society. So therefore, that is not allowed in Islam. And that is what Rasulullah vehemently protested on this day and told the people that make sure you don't. And that's why he goes on to say, Inna awwala riba ibda bihi riba ammi al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib. He said the first riba was the riba of my uncle, his paternal uncle Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, the brother of his father Abdullah ibn Muttalib. So he said that interest is today on this Hajjatul Wada cancelled, meaning you only return the primary back. And that is what he said on this farewell khutbah. If you have a loan from anybody, do not give them the riba for that loan. Return the primary amount. You took 2 dinars, 2 dirham, give that back. 200 dinar, give the 200 back. Do not give 210, 205 or 201. And that is why in the Quran we see in Surah Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very, very strongly and firmly warns us against riba. Allah says, فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. If you do not give up riba, O believers, then be prepared for a war, a battle with Allah and His Messenger. Allahu Akbar. Nowhere in the whole Quran did Allah declare war on anyone. If you don't pray, Allah doesn't say, I'm going to declare war on you. If you stop praying, Allah doesn't say, I'm going to declare war on you, O believer, or Muslim. If you don't fast Ramadan, you stop fasting, you stop disregarding fasting, Allah doesn't say He's going to declare war on those people who don't fast. If you don't give the sadaqat, there is nothing of that as a war declared in the Quran. Even zakat, Allah does not say that if somebody is not giving zakat, He will declare war on that. Hajj, and that is fard. If Hajj is fard on you and you don't go for Hajj, it's a different thing, it's a sin. But Allah does not say, I declare war on the people who don't go for Hajj when they have the ability and capability to do it. So out of all the 5 ibadah, Allah does not declare war on the believer on any one of them. Allah is Ghafur Rahim, Rahman Rahim, and gives them chances. But riba is one such thing which tells us riba is connected with money, with finances. And so Allah says, if you take riba or if you give riba, be ready for a war, a battle with Allah. And what does that mean? Allah is not saying that He's going to come down with swords and daggers and spears are going to be raining down, or arrows are going to be raining down, and that's war on us. It means that the person will become miserable, full of misery. The person who is dealing in interest, the person who is dealing in riba, their life will become miserable. Their life will become, totally devastated. Meaning they will have so many problems, so many issues, so many, difficulties and hardships. They will literally lose their mind, problem after problem. They will be constantly embroiled in difficulties. They will not have a chance to have a breath of air. They won't even have a sigh of relief. That is how much in turmoil, turbulence, volatility that person will be in. Although the society may look at them that, they're mashallah very good, happily living people, look, they have a house on riba, they have cars on riba, they have boats and whatnot, everything on riba, they have everything on riba. Their life may look, apparently from the outside, life may look very beautiful, but inside it's all hollow and vacuum. Inside they're losing out on everything. Inside there is nothing in there, because they are constantly in trouble, constantly in difficulty. And that is what Rasulullah is saying, that remember, that give up riba, stop riba. Riba is something that all the prophets of Allah came and warned their people, from Adam alayhi salam time all the way to Muhammad sallam. Even Isa alayhi salam declared war on the people who were taking riba. He vehemently opposed them, and that is one of the reasons why they wanted to crucify him and get rid of him, because he was stopping them in their business transactions of taking riba. So brothers and sisters, in Hajjatul Wada, in the farewell khutbah, farewell sermon of Prophet Muhammad sallam, he has emphasized so much on this issue of riba that we need to give it some thought. We need to give it to some understanding that, is my house, is my finances, is my dwellings away from riba? Because riba, if we just go on just riba, it may take a whole night to explain. But Rasulullah said that, when one of the hadith, Rasulullah said that the most lowest kind of riba, the most lowest, adnaha kind of riba, is like sleeping with your mother in the bed, in the same bed. Can you imagine how horrendous and disgusting that act, as it sounds and it feels like to be? And here are Muslims around the world, 1.6 billion Muslims, and many of them are heavily infested in riba. 57 Muslim countries in the world, and they are heavily infested in riba. The central banks of many Muslim countries, if not all of them, are heavily engaged in riba. And Allah is saying in the Quran, I declare war, battle, harb, on that person, in order to make us realize and feel how serious Allah is, how adamant Rasulullah is on this, that he is declaring it on the Hajjatul Wada. And in Surah Baqarah, Allah is saying, stay away from riba. So inshallah, we end with this today, this portion, the part 2 of the farewell khutbah on this notion of riba. Inshallah, next Friday we'll be back again with the next paragraph, the next part of the farewell sermon of Rasulullah. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.